What's up, YouTube? So I'm going to show you the install of alarm systems into any Honda Pilot from 2009 and to 2015. This has been a new one for me because I didn't have the wiring. Like I used to, a lot of the cars that I do with these systems, and the specific one that I'm doing is the EasyGuard I think it's the EC002, and we're basically my company is called Budget Mobile Auto. We're out of Seattle, Washington. And this is the week of the coronavirus, right when it hit. So we're just got the news of 124 people diagnosed, and 9 people died so far at a older folk home. But anyway, so I'm still running around doing work though because I gotta pay my bills. There's no one gonna do that for me. So this is the whole point, and the whole thing here is I'm gonna show you what I have so far. So I'm installing a push to start button, which is a whole different. Well, it's part of the EC002 system. So it's not part of it, but it is. So it's got that system in there. We're going to take that system. Let me see. I'm looking for something here. Okay, here it is. So we're going to be installing. So I've already installed the system. It's taken me actually 1 day to install the whole system, and then additionally it took me another week, almost week and a half, messing with one locking system. It's a central locking system, as you can see. This is a client's car, of course, but as you can see, I've been here for a while. I mean, I took apart a lot of stuff, you know. So, I am not using the horn because for privacy concerns, and not privacy concerns, I'm sorry, the noise complaint concerns, because the neighbors are right next door here. So for this client, they chose not to do the horn, so that when you arm it and disarm it, and when you also remote start, it beeps 3 times to remote start. So we just decided not to use that feature, just the horn feature. But if you were going to use it, there's a connector in the back here, and that connector has a gray wire right here, and it's the I believe number 1 pin here. I'm not sure, I can't really see it from there, but I think it's the number 1 pin right there. So the number 1 pin up here on top, it's the gray wire. It's the closest to the top wire, closest to the passenger side, gray wire. So that's what you want to tap into. And you tap for the EC002, you tap your pink wire into that, which says horn output. The horn output will be written on there. It says output of horn. This is just a wire because I'm not using that wire. I dropped it off, so I'm using it for something else to test things. So we obviously run this whole harness into our ignition harness. I hardwired everything, so this is all hardwired. I'm gonna end up taking all this tape off. I'm gonna end up soldering everything. The wires on there should, if you go online and search for 2013 Honda Pilot alarm / remote start install wire diagram, it should pop up with a 12 volt site, and it will have pretty much most of the wiring and where it's at. So what that website doesn't tell you is how to wire your locks though. So here I have my high frequency antenna. I have my low frequencies already ran. They're already installed. They're already here and plugged up. As you can see, both of them are here. I've ran mine here and in the pillar, on the A pillar here. And we have the second antenna up here on the top. They do provide you with a relay, which if you have a 6 output tone car alarm or a car horn, you would use this, and there's instructions in there as well for that. Now, you have to figure out which system you have to your lock systems. Like I said, this is Honda Pilot. This is 2009 to 2015 models that you might have some of these features. So this is how to install most of these things. I still have to hook up our trunk, which is pretty easy to do. There is no issue with that. It's pretty straightforward. You just hook it up, and I believe I have a trunk plug in here somewhere, but yeah, it's comes out of this harness here, and I think it plugs in right here. But here's my harness for that. There's a purple wire they talk about. There's a brown wire and a white wire in there. So most of these wires are in the door, so you can actually run all the connections through the door and put it in here, or you can find this connection back on the other side of this, which is also coming out into a pin in there, which is what I will do. But so I put my ground wiring for the harness. I had attached it to, so the trunk, positive, fast, negatives, output. That will tell you which wire, if you have to figure out which wire the output is. So that's where you will have to either attach it to one of your grounds, or see, I have another place for grounds already here, and there's a place for grounds up there, which is actually your main connection, which is where I'll probably get these grounds running up to as well. I don't want them sitting down here because it'll be in the footwell, and we just don't want a lot of mess, and a lot of this stuff is going to go up, and we're going to tie it down. So then you have your turn lamp signals. They're up into this harness up here, and your first turn signal is going to be in the, I think, the lime green harness, and it's going to be your light blue wire with a single dash. And then for your secondary wiring, there's a second down from the bottom, from the top or the bottom, the middle one basically. There's another wire in there that you will have to tap into, and I believe it's the pink wire for this system. Then the tack wire is here, but we don't need that wire necessarily, because in all reality we can start the car with no problems here. Okay, so we ran through that. Now to the main section. You will have in your wiring harness, you will have two negatives, which you just connect together in the same spot, because it makes no sense to not do that. Then these two you don't need, so you're going to insulate them, and you're going to stow them away from out of the way. Then you need your locking wire and unlocking wire. This is pretty messy right now because this is just me testing the wiring, because it just took a little while to get through to the system. It does not explain anywhere at all how to do this and how to basically put stuff in. The only thing it says is there's a section about transistors, but there isn't really a section about rectifier diodes, which is what we're going to use into this system. So the first thing you want to do is order some of those, or go to a Radio Shack if you still have one, or some store that carries or deals with rectifiers. Very hard to find in store usually, unless you go to Hobby Town, something like that would have something that's for hobbies. And there's, they're the little general purpose 1 amp ones. So here they are. And I think maybe O'Reilly's might have them, I'm not sure. I tried to search for an O'Reilly's, and it looked like they might have them, but the page would never load. So, but I've got a good little pack here, so just in case. That way I don't have to get them ever again. Plus, this is what I do for work. Plus, I do have another alarm coming up soon, and it's on a multiplex system, just like this one, with the window closer module. So we're running from our white wire. So this is our wire that's going to go to a lock module wire, or to the arm pink wire. This is a arm/lock wire. So this will lock all of your doors when you press the button. So as you use your remote, when you press the remote button, this should lock. Then second wire, which is coming out of here, this is your on-lock wire. Now pay attention very closely. Now I've attached, so you don't want these touching when the battery is actually activated. My battery's off right now. So then this wire splits off into two, and so you need to make a connection off of this wire into a second connection, probably somewhere closer to these wires. Then you need to put at the very end of each wire here, you need to put your diode. Now the diode, the direction of the cathodone, the direction of the cathode, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but anyways, the direction is you would have either a colored or a line which shows that it stops flow in the opposite direction. So then you would hook this one wire that is diode isolated, is what it's called. We diode isolate one wire to this direction, and also the same for the second wire. You want to use the white wire and the red wire. Your red wire is your unlock detection, and your white wire is the actual disarm unlock pulse wire, signal wire. The reason why you do this is when you try to connect these two wires, because you do have to split them no matter what you do, you have to split the connection. And the reason why, and you have to connect to both of these wires. The reason why you do this is when you have these wires without the diode, what happens is when you press the unlock button or the lock button, whatever one it's in, so whatever state it's in at the moment, you have to either have this wire connected or disconnected. Now mind you, that's without the actual diode. That's without the attachment at the very end there. So if you didn't have that, what you would have is that in order to unlock the door, you would have to have this wire touching. And in order for it to lock back up, you have to remove that so that there is no more flow going back into the wires, and that way it gives you the lock signal. So that's pretty much all you need. If you got any questions, leave them in the comments. I hope this really helps somebody. This would have definitely helped me. Now, on the other side of the coin here, so what you can do is you can either insert a key inside of the key cylinder, and you can disarm the wheel lock part of the system, or you can do it differently like I did and disarm it a different way. So what we've done here is we have removed the wheel lock system, because we opened up a compartment. So there's two pins in here. There's one pin that's right there, and there is another pin on this side that's on top that you need to either take out or drill out in some way. And then this compartment comes out. Then you can take out the wheel lock and then put it all back together, because that is the only thing you're worried about with the push start button, is the wheel lock locking up. Now another way to do it is if you take your key, which I'm not sure what kind of key you might have, but if you take your key wherever it's at the moment, anyways, so if you take a key blade and you take it out of your actual existing key, you can insert it in there if you cut it to a certain dimension and turn the key and then leave it in the ignition and push the start button over it. That's another method of doing that. But then at that point it messes, then you're not going to be able to have a second key. If something happens and your remote doesn't work, you should be able to have a key to open your cylinders. Unless you have a spare key, that's not going to be a viable option for you. So hopefully, I think that should be all that should be covered. Hopefully that's it. I think that's it. I mean, I don't remember doing anything else. Now there is another option that you could do. It's called iDataLink. These are pretty good. You can install them into, this is just a scrap one I have from someone else's system, which would actually work on a system if I reprogrammed it, but I didn't want to do that, so I did a different method. But anyways, this is what you would insert in there to get your transponder bypass module, and this is what this is. It's a transponder bypass module. And I'm pretty sure that that I have here, that's a different, see, that's a different hookup than the one I have here. So I would have to find I would actually have to find a system that would fit into there and that would work. There's another thing that you add, which is the keypad, and you put the learn code in, and that's in there. That's a difference. That's just an optional thing. And that should be a plug and play, and it goes right up here on your windshield. It's a touchpad you can touch with your fingers. So that's it, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe, and there'll be more coming.